What's going on, everyone? What's happening? And welcome to the Systems Lab Live. This is the August 21st edition, and we are here and we are excited about what's going on for the Wildcard season, session number 2, where we're just tackling some really cool topics. We're just having fun. There's no script ish, there's always like a plan, right? But I'm excited because we get to really talk through and walk through some really cool topics that I just often want to teach on and train on. And best believe coming soon, there'll be some more ways in which you all will be able to tap in just a little bit more regularly with me for trainings and things. And so I'm excited about that. I was talking to someone else today about that and just sort of getting her opinion on, especially for PMs, for project leaders, what that would look like, formats and type of content, something different for the people, something different for the people. So I'm praying about it, planning, putting some things in place. So yeah. I'm excited. But like I said, August 31st, August 21st edition of Systems Lab Live. Welcome. My name is Ashley Schuler. I'm your host with the mostest. This is the only #1 live stream for project managers, project leaders, those that are in the space of planning, organizing, leading, and managing projects. This is what we do all day, every day. Every Monday at 8 p.m., this is what we do. We discuss managing teams, leading projects, and developing processes. So we break it all the way down on various topics on project management. And I'm excited. We are live on LinkedIn Live, YouTube, and on Instagram Live. But Instagram is only for like the face, the Mia face. Somebody the other day at church said, "Hey, I just started recently following you," and it was so nice, so kind. I don't take those things for granted because the socials are a very tricky place, right? I'm not necessarily on it like a massive scroller, but I do engage in a lot of DMs. I'm heavy on the LinkedIn, and then I'm also heavy on the IG, just to of course, to share content, share some interesting insights, but also to engage with people as well. So it's super cool when people are they see your stuff. So it's pretty cool. I'm pulling up some notes here. The Notes Hub for live streaming, which is powered by Miro, and a few things that I just wanted to sort of bring to the forefront. Happy Monday once again. I'd love for you to put your name and your city and what you're working on this week. I'd always love to know what we're working on this week. This is the type of weekly live stream where we are constantly talking about various trending topics on productivity, training on project management, team operations. And so I am dedicated to bridging the gap between people, technology, and operations. People, technology, and operations. So it's an exciting time. I also want to take this time for you all to see on the little tickler piece, for you all to tap into my text messaging community, hashtag PM Huddle to 626-722-5444. This is where you can get the free audio course and get tapped into the weekly text messages that I send out. Some people are often they're on the PM Huddle for the PMs, and then there's another like main text group. I'll probably do an audit of my text community soon. I always invite people to leave. What's going on, Dion? Glad to see you. Brilliant mind, brilliant branding and marketing mind. Don't you forget it. I've always give people an out. I always give people an out when it comes to the text messaging, because I'm like, I don't ever want to feel like people have to stay on my platforms, but I only get like maybe like once a quarter, like one person will unsubscribe. I don't have a huge list, but I believe in what Superphone is doing. Shout out to Superphone. Shout out to the strategy sessions we have each week. And I just like to build together. I'm having the itch of getting into some writing. I'm not, and listen, I'm gonna tell you like this. I'm not your typical writer's writer, right? I'm not necessarily. I think I've gotten better with like the content and the story and the writing piece of it, but I am getting a little like, maybe I should like, pick up email again, right? I kind of let the email thing die a little bit. There's just a lot of churn. I just didn't have a lot of I would listen. I would send that joint out faithfully, but I wouldn't get that much traction. So I think I have to go back to the roots of building the email list back up. I think I need to have a bit of a strategy for it. It's all coming together, Dion. I like that you said do it. I like that you said do it. I think, I'm going to go back to one of the pro tips that the black techie told me, who's a super phone strategist and genius, and also like marketing and data analytics, sports. She did sports and data analytics. She's a genius in that area as well. We talked about blogging. And so I think I will be leaning more into the long form content and then just really chopping that up into many different places and spaces. So I think that is the plan, but I do want to tap back into my podcast first. I got a meeting tomorrow with Joe Casabona. What's going on, Mel? It's good to see you. And we're going to talk about the podcast with Joe tomorrow. And I'm a part of his podcast quarterly membership. And I'll be excited because he's going to really help to reset some things. So well, that's it. That's all I got for like news. I'm going to go through my notes just to make sure I don't have anything pressing. But our focus of thank you so much, Dean. I appreciate that. Our focus of today's show is really on creating an engaging activity. Oh, Shakira Kate, I was just thinking about you today. Welcome, Shakira Kate. Great to see you, as always. Our focus of today's show is lessons learned in Miro. Lessons learned is my favorite activity. I think as business owners, and entrepreneurs, even if you in the corporate space, right? I think taking time and taking your team and sitting down and saying, hey, let's just take a step back and let's look at what happened with the project. When Deanna and I worked together, we did this a lot as well. We did a couple of exercises where we would sit down and sort of look at what was going on with the project. And I think evaluation is key. I think evaluation is really something that we all should take to heart. Anyone can do it. So even if you work in real estate and you had, a deal that you just did, maybe you sold a house, maybe you sold a string of houses of some sort. Perhaps there's a way, and there obviously is a way, but that you can create an opportunity to like go back and go through, how you go about selling homes. These type of lessons learned retrospectives are not just for like technology, or they're not just project based. It's an opportunity to sit and to reflect. You also can do it with yourself, but usually you're typically doing these activities with a team. So if you have a really big project that you have going on, it's ending, get everybody together. It's super, super important to do that. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to dive into Miro. We're going to show you how to do this with a technology tool. Typically, oh, okay, that's it. That's all I got on that note. I know I just ended abruptly what I was just saying, but I was just looking at my notes. But the question of the season that we are asking is, what does it take to be a next gen digital PM? And so we're unpacking that to be is that in the traditional space of being a project manager, I'm telling you, this is not just like, oh, the person that just executes the task and that's just it. Project leaders are everywhere. They're in federal government, they're in marketing, they're in real estate, they are in construction, they are in what's going on, Project Wiz, they are in branding, they are in entertainment, They're in music. Where else? They're in churches and ministries. They're in nonprofits. They're everywhere. And so the Next Gen Digital PM focuses on future proofing skills development right now. So basically, that just means that we are focusing on how to skill up right now for the future. So it's always an exciting time to be talking about what does it take to be a next gen digital PM. And what that means is that you know how to conduct lessons learned sessions, and you also know how to do what? You also know how to make critical decisions. So we're going to be talking about two things. We're going to be talking about how you can make decisions, and we're going to be talking about the lessons learned in Miro. So just a quick plug, of course. Make sure those of you that really, really want to get serious about skilling up in this area, share with a friend. Share this live stream with a friend. Tell them to text PM Huddle to 626-722-5444. That is where you'll know all about the audio course that is out right now, that's free, that you can listen to. Also, you can be able to tap in monthly, and you'll get that text message that has a link to sign up, and also the link in my bio as well. Where you can also go and sign up for the monthly exchange, where I'm bringing you all off this little platform, and that we are going to be where? We're going to be on a Zoom. Well, this is interesting. I did have an idea. Should I live stream the PM? Maybe. I'll think about it. But really is an opportunity where people can come, and we're going to be talking about conflict resolution, communication, and conflict. Yes, it's called We Need a Resolution. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get the full title. I probably made it too long anyway. I said we need a resolution like Aaliyah. We need a resolution, conflict, and communication. So that's happening on the 31st at 7 o'clock. Be there or just be square. Someone else asked me about, is there a replay? So that's why I'm now considering, do I just do it on YouTube and not have it on a Zoom? I don't know. Okay. As we move on, let's see. I think that's it. We got, it's 8:19, so we should get to it. I was going to show you my new books, but we'll do that next week. Leadership Corner. The 3 areas in which you will level up as a next gen digital PM is leadership, strategy, and execution. So I will always take the time to show different facets and areas of those 3 areas of leadership, strategy, and execution. So decision-making criteria. What is decision-making criteria? Anyone in the chat would like to talk a little bit about that decision-making criteria? What does that mean for you? What does that mean for you? Making decision-making criteria. What does that mean for you? Do you have criteria for making decisions for your projects? Let's be more specific there. Shall we? Shall we? Just checking a couple things. But you put that in the chat as we go through this, okay? So, first things first is decision criteria are a set of guidelines and requirements used when analyzing options for making a decision. So it's basically maybe it's a 4-step process. Maybe there are certain criteria sets that you have, certain areas that you will review in order to make the right decision. Depends on the objective. That's right. That's such a good answer. Depends on the objective. That's really, really good. So I like that a lot. I like that answer a lot. I think that there's a couple things that I think generally you should consider. Now, it might change a little bit due to industry, but I think based upon a decision that you're going to make, you may have to think about the timeline of deliverables, timeline of, the sequence of tasks and things. So when making a decision, and maybe it is a different direction of the project. So let's take, one of my favorite examples, which is, just talking to an event planner earlier. No, let's do web. Let's do web design. I haven't done that in a while. Web and graphic design. So let's say that a client brings maybe another change. Maybe there's like a change, but that this change is critical to the actual outcome of the project. Okay. So you want to think through a couple things. Timeline. What does this impact? Does this impact the actual deliverable itself? Do you have to extend that out? Number 2 is budget. It's always going to cost something. Do we know how much? Because you're obviously going to be utilizing number 3, which are resources, right? Resources. So that's always going to be the people factor, or software, or if you're in construction, it's going to be materials. It's going to be like hammer, nails, wood. I don't know, all these other things that they do for the housing. And you have to factor in those costs. If you have to bring a specialist in, again, you're talking about resources, people. And I'm sure that probably makes people a little tense when you start talking about bringing in more, because lo and behold, again, there's always a cost to something. So that's what you definitely want to think through when you're making decisions. What's the actual criteria, and what will it affect? And then again, to the objective of the project, the impact of the goals and the outcomes. Because sometimes not every particular idea, change, suggestion feeds well into the overall outcome or goals of the project itself. Will it actually turn the project upside down? Will it delay it? Will it actually draw away from the scope of the project? Which means that at the end of it, have you traveled away from what you intended the project to be? So it's interesting, right? It's interesting. So decision-making criteria, I think everybody should have a level of criteria that they are going to start to use. And you may be also already using it, but I think it's always good to just jot these things down, right? I'm big on documenting and tracking of all the things, and doing all of it all the time. But I think it's a good opportunity for you to make your own set of notes within your own, it could be Notion, it could be OneNote. What else is out there? So many of those tools, right? And so you can just start just by making some notes about things. And I think those are always, especially when you run into common situations, especially when you think to yourself, this will probably come up again, right? So I think it's really important that we start to even carry out our own sort of personal, what do you want to say? Almost like a personal handbook, right? It's almost like our own personal handbook of things, right? And this is not to be super strict about like you have to do it like every Wednesday at 5:00. I just think that if you're picking up on stuff some way, somehow, just go ahead and just write it down. You may need to do it through the Notes app at first, right? It doesn't necessarily have to be prescriptive, right? I'm just a big fan of putting it in a centralized location. It's just going to be easy for you to just, just pull up. Okay, questions or comments that people may have. As we dive into one of my favorite topics, which is, again, lessons learned, we want to kind of I want to go into 4 areas of why we have lessons learned. And while that's going on, while you guys are typing questions, and I'm going to go over the first one, I'm actually going to pull up what podcast episode did I do on lessons learned. I thought it was pretty good. I think it was the season 3 one. So it's a temperature check on what went right and what went wrong. Maybe do we need to edit that statement? sometimes I question, is that the right verbiage that I should use? The purpose of evaluating your projects, I do believe, is to, number one, check the strength of the project, check the I want to say, I'm going like this, like roller coaster. Check for patterns of behavior, things that you saw that, yes, didn't go right, and things that went really, really well. I think this is a perfect opportunity because everybody on your team, whether it's you, another person, or 5 other people, they know. They know about how they've really, really hit the nail on the head with some of the project work that is being done. And so I think that that is so important. And so being able to call something out and being able to say, hey, this is what went right, this is what didn't go so well. And this is what I love too, is that this is also something that we should continue. So in the Miro board that I'm going to show you all on YouTube and LinkedIn, but one of the things that is really crucial is that they have something called start, stop, and continue. I love this because I think this is just a really easy way, number one, to get people involved, not overthink anything. And you can do this async, which is, just a way you're not necessarily doing it live, or you can do it live. But I think this is a really good opportunity to say, what should we stop doing? What should we start doing? And what should we continue to do? So I think that, like, I read a LinkedIn post maybe it was last week. One of my favorite product leaders was saying that, essentially there may be too many meetings that product leaders have that get in the way of like innovation, that get in the way of producing. And so I am someone who I'm an advocate of meetings. I'm very much an advocate of meetings. Now, let me put a little insert carrot. I'm an advocate of strategic and intentional meetings. And I also and very much an advocate of when you're bringing people together. I don't care where everybody is, and people are working together for the first time, or they're not used to working together. I think everybody comes together. I think everybody should meet. We meet, we talk, we learn about one another. I believe in that. Do you need to have it 5 days a week? Absolutely, absolutely not. But I just believe in being able to bring folks together so that people can know what's happening. They can understand how people speak. They can also understand what people mean. People can just get a sense of who people are. Oftentimes I've been there too. You worked as a PM, you have a subcontractor, you start working with folks, and then you're just like, get the task done, da 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 da. Listen, so much miscommunication, which is number 2. It improves team communication. Okay, so the first one is like the purpose of evaluating projects. When you do a retrospective or a lesson learned, you're doing a temperature check. You're saying, all right, what should we stop, start, continue? What went right? What went wrong? What went swimmingly well? Like, what was on point? Secondly, team communication. Why? Because there's always a piece of communication breakdown. There's someone who's always going to say, I wish I knew X, Y, and Z. I wish I knew it earlier. I wish that there was an opportunity for us to gather together at this point. Always, 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 right? The team communication thing. Again, that's my latest pod season on conversations with askash.com. Definitely look in the link in the bio and in the show notes. There's like 50 some episodes, but all of them are really great. But you can pick one. But that whole communication season was just that for a reason, because so many people were getting so bogged down on all the things communication, how to communicate, what to communicate, when to do it, what tools do I use. So much is involved in that. Anyone have a question so far? Now, I did have an episode. It was called Some Call It a Lesson Learned. Yes, sometimes I feel very musical in my spirit. And I know Alicia Keys had a particular song. Now when did that one come out? We're getting a little off kilter here, but some call it a lesson learned. Or it was just called Lesson Learned. Okay, with John Mayer. Oh, it was the As I Am album. Was that the? That was pretty good. That was right before I graduated college. Come on, somebody. That was good. Yeah, that was a solid one. That was definitely a solid one. Superwoman was on that. No One, like You'll Never See Me Again, Reckless Love, Teenage Love Affair. Yeah, that was like a really solid album. Anyway, I did Some Call It a Lesson Learned, June 30th, 2021, and it talks all things lesson learned. So yeah, I'll definitely put that in these here comments. I think maybe it'll show up on YouTube. I don't know. Some call it a lesson learned. Okay, it did post to the YouTube, but not. I don't think it would on the LinkedIn, but it's okay. But yes, for those of you that are on LinkedIn, definitely go to the conversations with askash.com. All one word, conversations with askash.com. And then you'll go to like the episodes and then go by season to season 3. And yeah, let's rock and roll with that one. Yes. Okay. Good stuff, people. Good stuff. So the third one was that lessons learned help you to update your business recipes, aka standard operating procedures. I love a good SOP, y'all. I think SOPs are golden. I think they are honestly really a great blueprint for how you want to go about, your work and the things that you do. Okay? So what I mean by that is that there's always a process, there's always a procedure, there's always somebody saying, wouldn't it be great if we had X? Wouldn't it be great if we were able to do Y? Or you know what we should do for next time? Blah, 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 blah. And so listen, that's really the crux of improving a process, right? Now, here's where sometimes it gets a little sticky. Where it gets a little sticky is that oftentimes maybe people don't have enough resources to carry out the actual updating of the process. You see, you got to go from just you've collected the information, you got to go from collecting the information to actually going about making change. I always advocate for that. So this is why the lessons learned sessions are so important, because maybe you just pick out just a couple depending on the staffing, the resources you have, what type of projects that an agency, a company, a business owner is working on. You're not going to be able to implement everything all the time. Okay. But I think it is really good to get a list of things that you want to improve and then implement, right? Implement as needed. I don't know. And it'll be interesting to get some feedback on is if after every project, did you make a change to everything? It'll be interesting. I often hear about business owners doing like complete rehauls of all of their processes, probably because they did what? They went back to evaluate what was going on based upon data, based upon, man, it's just nothing's working. Nothing's nothing's working. It's just not working. And sometimes those types of things happen, right? It's just not working. And I think we don't have enough of those honest moments, right? we just have to have a little bit of honesty. We have to have a little bit of honesty of how things, should be working. Now, some people have asked the question, do you always wait to the end to do lessons learned? I'm so glad that you asked that question, those of you that are thinking about that, because sometimes that you need to do a little course correction and evaluation in like midstream, and so I know I have had opportunities where, man, if I have a time where I can have a second wind, I will go back and start to think about like what's been going on and like say, all right, we need a different process for this. And I'll come up with something and pitch it and say, hey, I'm seeing this is happening and I'd like to just fix it now. I think that's really important because if you can catch stuff in the middle, man, that's just golden. If you can catch stuff in the middle of something. Why? Because I think it will make the outcome better. But you got to be like super smart about it. Like you got to be super smart. You got to know like what the impact's going to be. It can't disrupt the flow. It can't disrupt the flow at all. Yeah, it just can't. It can't do it at all. Ooh, just need a quick little water sip, y'all. Let me go back to make sure that I have everything. Okay. Also too, this is what lessons learned does as well. You're able to learn how decisions are made